Hey, friend fam, welcome to the Francyne Walker Show. I am your host, Francyne Walker, in case you were wondering. Um, I'm excited today. First of all, happy post Thanksgiving. We're I'm grateful today for my girl. I've known her, my God, probably 30. Then I'm giving away our age, kind of like, am I, Kim? But
Yes, 30
I've
plus.
known Kim, my God, almost 30 something years. And I am so excited and grateful for her friendship, but I'm also excited and grateful for the knowledge she brings to this caregiver space. And Kim and I have had numerous conversations about caregiving, and she has certainly helped me, even as I'm dealing with an aging relative, and how to handle um, my relative in a different way. So I'm grateful for the knowledge she has, the empathy, just the amount of experience that she brings to this field. I said, I'm going to give her flowers because 20 plus years of experience is a lot. And she's been everything from the baker to the candlestick maker. But I'll let her talk a little bit more about that. But please join me in welcoming Kim to the show. Hey, Kim.
Hey, Francine Walker. I'm excited. I'm excited about
Yeah,
being here. Thank you so much for inviting me. I know that we have a friendship outside of the Francine Walker Show, but I'm
absolutely.
also excited about being a part of the Francine Walker Show. Um,
Yes.
Thank you for.
I
Um,
so appreciate it because I did see um your show with Vicky, and I was just like, and realized, you know, it is National Family Caregiver Month. And
yeah,
it's like, oh, Kim, we have to do it in November.
yes,
So she pulled me out of my hiatus, which I was actually coming back to do the show, but it's not, it now is as good a time as ever to really have this conversation. And we got something special planned at the end to recognize our caregivers. But one of the things that you mentioned, first of all, I said candlestick maker, baker, but really, let's just give them a tidbit of what you do, because I've been a caregiver. You have been a caregiver on the personal and the professional side, but
yes,
that's just not the only thing you've done. I've known you 30 plus years, so I know some of the things that you have. I remember one of your first jobs, right? And
yes.
so talk a little bit about who you are, as far as what do you bring to this space um, that qualifies you to talk on this on such a very expansive level.
Okay. I like to say first and foremost, I am grateful because why I can do the things that I do in caregiving, in the caregiving sector, is because God gave me a caregiver's heart.
Sure.
And it was simply an app that was downloaded in me, and it was nothing I can do about it but activate it. Are you there?
I'm here. I'm sorry. You know what?
Okay.
I am the host, writer, and the producer. So 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 this is all the way live. And
Right,
so
right,
I'm
right.
really
We
just
are live.
giving you the space to talk without focus on me. So
Okay.
so if
Okay.
that happens, I do apologize. If that
Okay.
happens again, that's because I have not left you,
It's okay. Okay.
or forsaken you.
Okay.
But I'm here. But
Okay.
so it's so interesting. As soon as I asked that question, I heard this is pretty much your purpose and calling, because I can say this personally. I hope I never have to be a caregiver or never need one again. Even after being the advocate for my mom and caregiver, it's like, whew. However,
Yes.
anybody, and a lot of times we think that caregiving is, oh, we're going to take care of our parents and somebody's going to take care of us,
Yes.
if we need that. Hopefully, if we need that kind of care. But even if it's just like intervention on some level with the medical professionals and
Yes.
whatnot. Um, but it's like, I don't want to do this as a profession. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
this, you have a calling.
Again, I realized that it was a heart that God gave me, but um, I'm grateful also for being able to activate. And I often say to other caregivers and to clients and the recipients of my care that my hands follow my heart.
Yeah. Yeah.
So in caregiving, the heart is very important because you're dealing with individuals on such a personal,
Yeah.
such an intimate level, and oftentimes you've come into a scenario that has changed. You're
Sure.
dealing with a person that had a very active life, possibly, and now this scenario has changed them into needing someone to assist them.
Sure.
And so as I come into those different scenarios, I'm finding that God has blessed me in many ways to be able to be compassionate, to be able to also have empathy, to also be able to speak to a lot of times fear,
Yeah.
because there's a fear that enters into a person that is in now a position where you need someone to do different things for you.
Sure.
But not all caregiving consists of bedpans and bedside commodes and diapers, as most people kind of think of it as, or as we thought of it as caregiving for your elderly parent or loved one. Caregiving has now turned into accidents happening. Caregiving has turned into young people developing cancer. Caregiving has also turned into the aftermath of COVID. So caregiving is happening on many levels.
Yeah.
As we are talking about Family Caregiving National Month, there's many moms and dads that are taking care of small children with lupus, with cancer, with diabetes that's extreme. There's so many people caregiving and spaces that people across the world aren't even thinking about.
Sure.
And that has become their life. It could be a daughter, a mother, a sibling. Some people have inherited
Yeah.
taking care of someone that someone else was taking care of and now they passed on. And you've promised to take good care of this person, and now that is what you're doing.
Yeah.
Caregiving is so many levels, there's so many dynamics to it. And like I said, there's young people there are a lot of mothers and dads, possibly the caregiving, I want to say this, the caregiving age is between 50 and 70. That is the age of the caregivers at this point in
Yeah.
life.
I read that. I saw
Yes,
even in Michigan, 22%
yes,
are in that age range.
yes,
And, and that's, because before we were, you heard of the sandwich generation,
yes.
and where, you were caring for a family, and
Mhm.
then you began to care for a loved one,
Yes,
namely a parent, your mom or your dad.
yes,
But you mentioned something, Kim, about COVID
yes,
and how so many people they call it long haulers,
yes, yes. And I was one.
where, 1 minute, 2019 to before post, I mean, pre-COVID, we're fine, we're going about, and then this deadly virus comes in,
Yes,
and we're affected one way or another. You have the mild to the intense, or the mild, moderate, and then the intense.
yes, yes,
And so where people are looking at decreased lung capacity,
yes,
or
yes, yes.
brain fog, where, and it's everybody is affected differently.
Dif- That
Where
is
you lose, you lose control of mobility or whatever. It's just,
Yes.
so it's like, so the age of the caregiver may be between 50 and 70,
Yes.
but the person that's being, what
The
we how do we say,
recipient, the
the
recipient,
recipient.
the
Yeah.
recipient, we'll go with that. I don't want to call them a patient, but
No, no,
the
the
recipient
recipient.
of care is in their 30s. They could be in their
Yes.
20s. They're in
Yes.
their 40s, and they're now you have a parent that's in their 60s or 70s, and they're now taking care of their 30-year-old or
Yeah.
their
Yeah.
40-year, or they're seeing after them, where not everybody is able to take their loved one into their home and take care of them in the home. So they may
Yeah.
have to reside in the nursing home or assisted living, which has also changed. The faces in the
Yes.
nursing home has changed as well. So you also have family members that have dedicated themselves and they have made a commitment to go to that nursing home to see after that loved one as best they can, seeing that they couldn't take them into their home. And as
Sure.
we know, when COVID came, that brought about a whole different situation. That could be a whole another show, but that was very difficult. So
Yeah.
anybody who had their loved one in their home at the time of COVID was like a blessing in disguise, because had they not been in their home, they wouldn't have been able to care for them, or they wouldn't have
Right.
been able to check on them or see them. So that became very difficult. But I just like to say the family caregiving measures have extended. What we initially thought about caregiving
Sure.
is now a total different package. And um, I am again grateful for the heart that God gave me to be able to jump in there wherever is needed, whether it be hospice, whether it is companion. I'm consulting with family members a lot on how to bring their loved one home, how to set up the space for them, how to begin the care, how to start advocating for them, just different measures.
Yeah.
Initially, as you talked about, one of my first jobs was working in a group home, and I was just a group um, home health aide or caregiver at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And then I
Mm-hmm.
went on to become manager and med coordinator and all the things that you can become in the group home. And I still have many relationships that developed at that time that we have now. So
Sure.
this started early on, and at that time, it might have been mentally retarded handicap is what they called them at the time.
Yeah.
But there was head injury. There was so many things that at that age I had not witnessed before.
Mm. Yeah.
And it's moving on, and it's now some of these people, and then I'll move back to you. Some of these
Oh
people are
no, that's
coming
good. You're
home.
good.
They're coming home. Their family members want to try to have them at home and do what they can.
Mm-hmm.
But it's been more than a lot of people can handle. Um,
Yeah.
we thank the Lord for the ones who've had the stamina and the know-how to continue to do what they're doing. And we know that's
Yeah.
nothing but God that has given them strength to continue to take care of their, whether it be a wife. There's husbands that are taking care of wives. They said in sickness and in health, and they didn't
Right.
know what sickness would look like. And it is looking very caregiver-ish at this time. But because
Sure.
they love that person, they're going on love. They're
Mm-hmm.
working on love, and they're moving on love. And
Mm-hmm.
so are the other family members that are doing the same thing.
You mentioned, how they say it's levels to this, and we have had extensive conversations
We
about
have,
caregiving, and even just helping me um, use a different kind of language and being cognizant of the recipient,
yeah,
as you mentioned, because I was like, what? No, not, recipient is
yes,
caregiving recipient,
yeah,
um, where, that empathy
yeah,
that you probably talk a lot about when you are consulting with
Yes.
families who want to bring their family members home. It's like, okay, it's
Yes.
not a walk in the park.
No,
That's
ma'am.
very noble and that's very loving. But let me tell you, this is what you need to be prepared for
Mm-hmm.
because, yes, November is National Family Caregivers Month.
Yes.
And I would imagine that was created because it can be thankless at times. It
Yes.
can be a thankless endeavor. And although you mean well, it can be frustrating
Yes.
and it can be tiresome, you know.
Yes, indeed.
And so and sometimes resentment can set in,
Yes, ma'am.
you know. And
Yes, ma'am.
so if you are honest, would you say if the caregiver is honest and saying, I ain't feeling this today. Even
Mm-hmm.
though you're going to follow through, but emotionally, you're not feeling it.
Yes.
Would
Yes.
you say it's important to have that honesty, be honest with yourself so that it doesn't wear you down and you hold it in because caregivers get sick too. And
Yes.
sometimes the recipient outlives
The
the
caregiver.
caregiver.
And that's more often than not, as I've spoken before. Um, it's a very honest feeling, and you have to be fair with where you are. You have to
Sure.
be honest with where you are. And there's a piece of hair that I
Go
see
ahead,
and I
girl.
can't get it. I can't get it. It's look.
Listen, you are among friends. I told you, I said,
Yes,
this is an informal
I see
conversation
it,
with
and it was bothering.
structure.
But so you feel these feelings. Sometimes you feel guilty.
Mhm.
But not only do you feel guilty, so does the recipient feel guilty to the
Yes,
fact um that they're being cared for and they don't want to be a burden
burden.
to the
Yes,
family member. So often sometimes they have moments that there are some that would rather go on and opposed to staying and
sure.
being a burden to the family. And you have to often remind them that you're not a burden, that I am indeed doing this because I love you and because I want to do this. But that do not mean that you don't get tired. That doesn't mean that your body doesn't grow weary. That does not mean that you're not getting the sleep that you should get, and you're probably taking better care of the recipient than you're taking of yourself.
Right.
Um, it's funny but not funny. I've talked to somebody about giving their loved one all the vitamins. They getting turmeric, they're getting
Mhm,
zinc, they're getting
mhm.
all of that, and you yourself are not taking those same vitamins that you're giving the recipient.
Yeah, yeah,
And so it's unfair to you. And sometimes we have to learn how to be fair to ourselves mentally. We have to take mental breaks, of course. We have to also, a big one is ask for help,
yeah, yeah. You know,
because caregiving needs to be a team.
I want to make sure because I was so excited, as and I so appreciate you being here. I was like, "Oh, Kim, we got to talk about this." Cuz I'm looking at some of the comments and please, we've got about I want to be cognizant of Kim's time because we it can go all over and we want to keep
Yeah,
it
Cam.
because it can be an overwhelming topic.
Yeah.
And one Joyce Foster, this is I'm just going to show it right here. This is why we need this for people to know here and understand about caregivers.
Yes. Yes.
Kanita, my girl, as a caregiver to my 24-year-old autistic son, it's a heavy load. This is an important conversation. Um, Vaughn says mental breaks and ask for help. Let me show that. Okay. Tamika, right on time. Let me show this topic is right on time. Oh, let's see. Very informative. Anna Johnson says, very informative. God bless you, Kim. So if
Thank
you do
you.
have any questions, please put them in the comments and then I can pose them to Kim. But Kim has as she is, building her consulting practice. did, did I push you
You
up?
did it. You did it. You did it.
But that ain't nothing but love, because it's like,
Oh, I know.
oh
I
my
know.
girl, I see it. It's like, Kim, do. But Kim does have, and I'm going to put it up now. Producer, oh, that's me. Um, if you have caregiver questions that you will think about, because please share this information. Again, as we said in the beginning, you will either need one, become one, or have been one, as
Yes.
both Kim and myself have been.
Yes.
Um, and she has a heart for it, and she will enable us who will either be in those situations, those three situations, enable us to develop a heart. Maybe it's not our calling, but we still need to develop that heart so that as the caregiver, we maintain some quality of life. Because if we fall out or fall down, then what happens to the
We're no
recipient?
good. We're no good. It's as if when they tell you when you're flying with young children
Yep.
and you need the mat, you have to put the mask on yourself first in
Yeah.
order to assist the child. It's the same thing. You have to make sure you're maintaining your health and you're maintaining the strength, the stamina in order to assist with your loved one, or you're going down a rabbit hole.
Yeah. 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 What is okay? One, I got another. I'm working on setting my son up to live independently next year. Can you see it, Kim?
Yes, I see it now. Yes.
Okay. With full-time staff. The fear and guilt, hey, is
Yes.
overwhelming. What
Yes.
are some
Yes.
ways to deal with this situation? Great question, Kanita.
There is a lot of things you can try to put in place, but as we all know, sometimes things don't work out. They can look good on paper. Sometimes you have to try them out. You can interview and see what caregiving is like. There has to be a good fit. As a caregiver liaison, when I would me and the team and we would go into homes and we look at what the caregiving looks like, I would often have in mind a caregiver that would be a good placement for this particular situation in this home. So you have to really kind of interview some caregivers or who's going to be staffing for your son, because you need to make sure they're going to be a good fit for what's going on with your son. And then sometimes you still have to tweak it a little bit. It might have started off well, but sometimes it changes up a little, and you still have to always be an advocate. You've got to
Yeah.
always advocate for your son. He's still going to need you to be in his corner for advocating when you see things going left or you don't see things um, going in the best direction, but also include him in decision
Sure.
making for him so that he can feel very much a part of what's going on in his life. And that's what anybody that we're caregiving for, we need to have consideration to decisions that we're making for the recipients.
Sure. Sure. As um in my caregiving season, I was the advocate or the voice for my mother, and making sure, and that goes along with just what you're saying, where we had to go from one hospital to the next and making all these different decisions. And it's like, Francine, you do it. Well, I
Mhm, mhm.
obviously, I got a big mouth, but that is not afraid to talk, to speak up. But it is definitely, that is part of that advocating,
Yes, yes,
watching things, speaking up for those who don't necessarily have a voice or the strongest voice,
yes, yes,
because they're the recipient and they're
yes,
relying on you to intercede on their
yes,
behalf, not to get biblical, but intercede on your behalf
yes,
to ensure quality of life, ensure quality care, ensure quality staff. And sometimes some people, everybody is not like you, Kim. Everybody doesn't, that's in the industry, right? Everybody, and that's, of course, that's how you have experience dealing with new hires and placing them and identifying if they're appropriate, and if baby girl or baby boy,
Yeah.
it's not for
Yeah.
you.
Yes. But there are many, I must say, there are many, many wonderful caregivers out there with a caregiver's
Yes,
heart. They're
yes,
just
yes,
lacking a few tools and information on
yeah.
know-how and how to do. Sometimes everybody don't know the best approach with dealing with
Mhm.
people. Sometimes again, the body language, how you speak to a person that is a recipient of something that they need from you. um, I heard one time the saying was, "You don't have to take good food off a dirty plate." So because you're bringing care, don't mean you have to just give it to me any kind of way because I need you. So
Absolutely. That's true.
sometimes people don't know how to move about like that, but they still have a heart. They still have a heart.
Yeah,
And it is my
yeah.
desire to help in some areas with that we help the caregivers that have the heart to do what's needed to do in the scenario that they're in, that they get the
Mhm.
tools and the information to continue to be the best caregiver that they can be, and a help to the recipient.
Know your limits and set aside time to prevent being overwhelmed.
Yes, ma'am. That is.
Yeah,
And you have to set boundaries. It's okay to set
yeah.
boundaries. Actually, you need to set boundaries because people will continue to you ask of you. You'll be doing
Mhm.
more than you can really do. So you have to set those boundaries. You have to know how to say no. You have to know how to say we won't be able to do that today.
Mm,
Um,
mm.
and find ways to deal with those scenarios. Sometimes you can't answer right away. Sometimes
Yeah,
you say, let me get back with you on that tomorrow. Let's see how
yeah,
today go. And
yeah,
then we'll try to do that tomorrow. So a lot of times because we're overwhelmed, we speak out of emotions very often.
yeah. You said
And
something that's very interesting. You said that, and just being, the kind of person you are, it's like, let's talk about your resume is probably as long as my arm, and you have dealt with hospice patients, those
Mhm.
with dementia, closed head injury patients, where cognitively they're challenged.
Yes,
Specifically, it's like, man, you can't even imagine what it's like to lose all of your
faculties
memory,
and yes,
and your
yes.
faculties. It's
Hmm.
like God, you know, and so there is a way where someone might become combative, and you
Yes.
can't be combative. you know,
No, no.
it's just gonna be a battle, right?
Yes. So you have to learn how to, in your compassion, keep control, but also trying to think about the situation from the other person's side of it. A lot of times, you have even the elderly, they're fighting because they've lost control in many areas. They moved out of their house. People moved in their house. People are coming and going in their house. People are moving things around. They can't get to what they used to could get to. They can't drive anymore. It's so many scenarios. So they're fighting to keep some kind of control, and so it is imperative that we take into consideration even the younger generation who may be in a caregiving situation, that
Yeah.
they were going about their business. They were doing, life. They were doing life, and now life has changed for them. And we have to try to be very compassionate, and we have to
Yeah.
really have a lot of empathy for the scenario. We got to kind of um, I have to say, we have to speak in such a way that we're not being demeaning to them, or not
Absolutely.
talking to them. A lot of times somebody can say that they can't, I'm hard of hearing. And then someone will start to say, baby talk to them, which
Right.
doesn't make sense. I
It's
said I
like,
was hard
I
of
can't hear it.
hearing. and someone will immediately go to talking baby talk. You know,
Yeah,
they didn't say they
yeah.
didn't understand you. They said they couldn't hear you.
Yeah,
So
it's like when
sometimes,
it's like, "I don't speak your language." It's like, "What?" I still didn't understand what means. Now, I
yes,
mentioned, I knew we might have some questions, but we also
okay,
need some encouragement as well, Kim.
yes,
My girl, oh, can you say that? I'm sorry. It's
yes,
okay.
I do.
Okay, I literally fell a couple of weeks ago and hurt myself. I couldn't do some things I normally do for my dad, and he got upset. It made me cry because I felt bad and guilty, but it was not my fault. He did call and apologize, but that was an eye opener that I have to make sure I'm taken care of in order to take care of him. And it's not selfish. I was glad he finally understood that I just needed some time to get myself together. This topic and support is very helpful.
Yes, yes, because that's a in that statement. I must say that there's a whole lot of things going on
Yeah,
in that comment, and
yeah,
so
yeah,
you definitely have to take care of yourself first before you can assist with someone else. And the only thing that you can do is ask somebody to understand what's going on with you, and
yeah,
then you have to make your moves accordingly after that, because if you can't do it, you can't do it. At that point, that is where a support team would be helpful, where somebody else could maybe got in there and help with him
mhm,
while you were down and was unable to do so.
sure.
A a team is necessary. um Caregivers need help. They need to be able to have a break. They need other loved ones. Well, and I must say this, a lot of times when you're family caregiving, your team does not always look like what you think it's going to look like.
Right.
When I say that, it may not always be that family member. It may not always be that other sibling, or that, that aunt or that
Yeah.
uncle. It may be friends. It may be church members. But the thing is, you want to build a team of people that are willing and want to help you. And we have to be responsible to make sure we show them and tell them how we need their help. Because a
Yes.
lot of
Most
times there are
definitely.
people, yeah, there are people on board and they want to help.
Yeah.
They don't know how to help. And then sometimes when they help, we got to not have so many demands on them.
Yes.
We
Yes.
have to cut some slack. They might not be able to cut the sandwich like you cut the sandwich.
Right.
They
Cut the
may not
crust
be
off. It's like, you know
they
what? The
might not
sandwich
be
is
able to
cut.
do the curls like you do the curls.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we gotta work with some situations a little better, when we're receiving help.
Mhm. Mhm.
And that's
Yeah,
just a
that's
small piece of it.
yeah, it is, I think, finding that balance in because you are ultimately in control of the situation, as far as you are the caregiver, so you make the decisions, but relinquishing control when you do assemble a team, and it's like being able to identify, um and not feeling guilty. So when you don't feel
Yes.
guilty, you're able
Yes.
to identify exactly, not exactly, well, for the most part, what you need. You know what I
Yes.
mean? So it's like,
Yes.
What do you need, Fran? What do you need?" You
Yes.
know, um, "Girl, I just need a moment." So,
Yes.
I just need a
Yes.
moment. If you could come here and just sit while I go
Mhm.
sit on the porch. You got me started on these on the garden and the plants. If I just need to go sit
I did
outside.
that.
Wait, I was just telling you. I said, "Oh, my bird of paradise is sprouting a new leaf.
Yes.
It's sprouting
Yes.
too." So it lets me know I'm doing something,
Yes.
you know. But
Yes.
even with that, as a caregiver, having something that brings me joy. Obviously, my plant babies bring me joy.
Yes.
Obviously, sitting amongst just beautiful flowers bring me joy. So
Yes.
it's like, "Well, friend,
Yes.
what do you need?" I just want to come sit. I just want to go sit on the porch. If
Yes.
you could
Yes.
come and sit with, you know, whomever, my relative,
Yes.
and just sit while she's eating or they're eating so I can
Yes.
be on the porch, so
The other
I can
thing,
speak to
the
that.
other thing is knowing, so when you have people that are willing to help or even other family members, know their strengths, know where they
Yes,
are. Because
yes,
sometimes we're asking things of people that they sometimes are unable to give.
true,
So if you know that that person is not a real hands-on person,
right,
and you're trying to
correct.
make them be the hands-on person because that's their mother or
Yeah,
that's their father, that it's not going to work, and you're going to stress yourself out even more trying to do that.
yeah,
So maybe allow that person to get involved with paying the cable bill, or
that's
making sure
true.
that she
Yes,
has water, or there's
yes,
pickups, there's pharmacy pickups that need to happen. So know the strengths, and know where the people that want to support you, or the other family members that you want to get involved, because sometimes we're putting a lot of stress on people because we want them to be involved. We want them to be involved like we're involved. We want them to
yeah,
be hands on. And sometimes, for whatever reason, because there's many reasons why they're not able to do it, we got to work with that.
absolutely. Because, and I like that you like the way you said that because sometimes it might just mean the help might mean, okay, thank God, because especially during COVID, it's like, I need groceries. Oh, there's Instacart.
Yes,
You know what I mean? I don't want to cook.
yes,
Oh,
yes,
there's DoorDash. So it's like it relieves some because
yes,
it's like
yes,
I'm too today was a maybe not the best day, you know, for
yes,
myself and my recipient slash relative. Um, and so it's like I'm hungry, but I don't even it's like, oh, just make a sandwich. I don't want to even think about making anything, but I can look to one of those services to just deliver me something and I
yes,
take a breather or whatever. So it's like really
yes,
I think I love that you have it's pretty much empowering and I know we've got so many tips and tools and resources
yes.
that I didn't even realize were there at the time but you know
Mm-hmm.
it's and then that's there that part where it's after the person passes away there's that side
Yes,
of it you know what I
yes,
mean so
yes, yes,
I don't want to hold you because, well, I do. I would keep you for an hour, but but it's like, but the thing about it is understanding that you as a when you're doing uh a particular case and a consultant in that consultant role liaison role is you're empowering that caregiver to walk the journey a little bit differently where it doesn't break them down,
yes,
as
yes,
much.
yes,
'Cause it
yes.
happens, you
We're
know.
there to build. We should be building up. And a lot of times I like to say to the caregivers, and I know myself, I've been in there and really given tools to the family as well, because
Yes.
for the most part, this is new for them. It's
Yeah.
new for the recipient, it's new for the family member, and not always do you know how to go about doing this. And so sometimes there's help needed in that area.
Yeah.
And sometimes what I've learned, there's so many, like we said, levels. Here's another spin on it. Sometimes there's family members taking care of loved ones that may not have had the best relationship with that person that's fractured.
Oh. Oh. Oh.
And
That's a
so now
whole
that's
show.
a whole, yes. So now there's a lot of dynamics to that. And so
Yes. Yes.
there is help needed in that scenario, because sometimes they might have inherited that. They might have felt guilty where they had to do it, but that relationship had been fractured, and it may remain fractured, but now you're caring for a loved one that you have a fractured relationship with.
So
That's a
what do
whole
you
nother
say to
segment.
that person in the net if just real quickly, what do you say to someone because it's a lot of people in those situations and it's so interesting because I posted something about Venus and Serena Williams' dad, who is currently
Mm-hmm.
incapacitated.
Okay.
Um, and from his previous family, the the sister is like, all up in arms about the depiction and the lack, and that's neither here nor there. I
Mm-hmm.
I felt like this. She's entitled to her opinion. She's obviously triggered. There's some residue there. And she says, and she says, I'm not going to his funeral. And she might have said, I'm not even going to care for him, but I think it's the one of the other brothers. But she could be in that situation where she inherits
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
that scenario,
Mm-hmm.
and she's got all this, rightfully so, this
Yes.
animosity. So what do you
Yes.
say to somebody like that?
Um, it it varies with every situation, so it's
Sure.
no perfect answer for that. But what
Sure.
I have found in some situations is a lot of times healing has to start with us. So we
Mm,
really have to find out where we are, how do we go
mm.
about, how can we go about? And sometimes it's very difficult if you yourself are in pain from
Yeah.
this fractured relationship.
Yeah.
That person, like what you might have been speaking about, Serena, that could be pain.
Yeah.
As we know, when pain is aboard, there's
Yeah.
many things that happen from pain.
Now,
So,
mind you, this is Serena's sister. They have different mothers. So,
okay,
essentially what had happened, he left that family, created a whole new family, and
mm-hmm,
created two tennis superstars. So
okay,
that previous family is looking and thinking, what about
yes,
us?
yes.
Even
So
now. So
as we know, not as a therapist, I'm not a therapist,
yes,
but we know that pain is on that boat. Okay.
yes,
Pain is on that boat in many levels, but
yes,
as it can enter into caregiving situations.
yes,
Like I said,
yes,
it's very difficult to give one answer to the situation, but
sure,
I would say first and foremost, we really have to check self. We have to do the best that we can with find out how can we heal self, how can we get ourselves in the best place. Can we forgive, can we be in a forgiving situation where we can
sure.
forgive what happened and then be able to move on and care for this loved one. But there's so many dynamics, like I said,
Yeah,
that's more
yeah,
that could be very sticky.
yeah.
um, that could be very, unless you're in that situation, unless that
True.
scenario is yours, we don't know
Yeah.
how we would really deal with it.
Exactly. And not so much that I was looking for,
No,
but at the
yeah,
same time, what I'm getting from that, your answer, as diplomatically as you've put it, healing is probably your for your benefit first and
yes,
foremost.
yes, yes,
Then we can deal with the other blocks
yes,
when
yes,
it's like, okay, obviously healing would make this a situation that I've inherited,
yes, yes,
and
yes,
I am not one to say, girl, you need to heal, because it's like, we all do.
yes,
Um, I really want to, oh, thanks, Christina. I really want to make sure we understand that the healing
yes,
begins with us. And no,
yes,
neither one of us are
yes,
therapists, but I can
yes,
tell you, we all need one. You
right,
know,
yes. And it's okay to have one.
it is. Thank you. Say that it's okay, especially pre caregiving,
Yes,
during, and post.
yes,
Those are
yes,
the three. You want to
yes,
make sure we emphasize that you will
yes,
either become one,
yes.
need one,
One
or been
or
one.
been one. And there's a whole afterlife. Like I said, that's another show because there's so many
Yes,
areas. But
yes,
but
yes,
to those that have been caregivers and the caregiver, I mean, and the recipient has passed on,
yeah,
that's a whole nother matter because depending on how long you have been taking care of your loved one. People have given up their lives. They've given up things that they wanted to do. They have spent years caring for someone else, and
Yeah.
maybe coming into their home or them moving into their home.
Yeah.
There's so many things that have been giving up, but they solely are working on love. They're working on the love of that person, who that person has been to them, who that person is to them at that time.
Yeah.
And God is blessing the love that they have for that person for them to continue doing that. But as they've done that, when that person is gone, now they have to learn how to go to bed at night. They have to learn
Mhm.
how to, change what they're doing in the morning. They have to stop
Sure.
eating standing up. They have to, try
Yeah.
to stop doing so much multitasking where they're trying to get so much done so that they can take care of their loved ones.
Yeah.
They have not answered phone calls from friends because we're too overwhelmed. And
Yeah.
now they would like to spend some time with some friends,
Absolutely.
and friends' scenarios have changed while they were caring for their loved ones. It's
It's so
so
many.
many things, and it's a
And
difficult thing to be able to move on. I
yeah.
myself, when my grandmother passed, I had to find a new routine from the day that she was gone. My life was different from the routine that I had created taking
Mhm.
care of her.
Mhm. Mhm.
So it's I understand it from my perspective, but there's so many, as it is a spouse, or as it is a mother or a sibling. All those roles are so very different, and now that that
Yeah.
person is no longer there, there's difficulty in moving on.
Yeah. Dorothy Chambers says we now have to learn how to move on without them. And I
Yeah,
remember even now, because grief is one of those things that it's with you, you just learn how to manage. It's
yes.
like, oh, I thought about my own triggers,
Mm-hmm,
even doing this
mm-hmm.
show and talking about, yeah, I was a caregiver at one point, and thinking about,
Yes.
oh Lord, don't let me cry and raise my lash. You know what I mean? It's like, am I make them run? Because I'm not gonna
Yes.
cry on this
Yes.
live. But
Yes.
I wanna
But the
I knew
heart
what we were
does what
gonna
the
do.
heart does.
I knew we were gonna run over,
Okay.
and that's okay because it's my show. And and this is a very needful conversation.
Yes.
Needful conversations need to must happen, but this is just the beginning. And I really wanted to I knew at some point we were going to have you on the show. And I'm so glad that I'm kicking off the relaunch with you, my friend of 30 something years. Even and so we've been friends since we were 5, so 30 some years. So you know what I mean?
And
So
that's our story, and we're sticking to it.
that's what hey, that's the story, and we sticking with it,
It
man.
may not be
Baby,
reality, but we're sticking to it.
baby, baby, baby. Okay? So, with that being said, I said we were going to wrap up by
Okay.
7. Um,
Okay.
but what I wanted to do is make sure we gave you that moment to address, since this is the last day
Yes,
of the
it is.
month, last day of the
Yes, it
month
is.
of National Family Caregivers Month. If you want to go ahead and close out with some
Okay.
encouraging words.
Okay. So I would like to end with speaking to the recipient of caregiving. Um, my ask for the recipients, and not, I mean, I'm sure there's people that are doing this, but just to remind you, if you have a caregiver, and your caregiver is showing up, and your caregiver is doing what they need to do, and they're are taking care of you with that caregiving heart. They're making you feel good when you need it. They're helping, they're doing food, or however they are there to assist you. Please appreciate that caregiver. Please love on that caregiver if you can. Please acknowledge that caregiver. Not everybody is mushy, and they're mushy, or they're not, don't want to say a bunch of words. But there's ways that you can let people know that you appreciate the care that you are receiving. Um, Caregivers are important. Caregivers are needed. Caregivers are necessary. And to have a good caregiver is an awesome thing. To have a good caregiver is a blessing. So I say to you, please acknowledge your caregivers. Please let them know that you're appreciative to what they're doing. As they understand your scenario changes and as you're in pain and as you are declining or have declined, work with them. Um, be mindful that they are people too and they have feelings and um, they want the best for you and they have the heart to do what they're doing with you. So appreciate them, please, please, and thank you. And to the caregiver, I salute you on today. This is the last day of National Family Caregiving Month. And to the mother, to the father, to the son, to the husband, to the son-in-law, to the cousins, or whomever you are. And as you are taking care of your family member with love, and as you're doing so with the heart that God gave you to do so, I salute you. I salute you for showing up. I salute you for being the game changer that you are, because caregivers are game changers. And so I salute you. I salute you. I thank God for you, even though I don't know you, but because I have a heart for caregivers, I salute you. I pray that God will bless you in your doing, that God will bless you in your, give you more stamina and more strength, will make you mindful of your self-care that's needed. Just like you're giving vitamins to your loved one, take your vitamins, take your breaks, um, drink your water as you're telling them. But today, I would just like to say thank you. Thank you for activating the heart that God gave you to be an awesome caregiver. And again, if people don't know, caregivers are game changers. So thank you. Continue to do what you're doing. Know that sometimes you may not feel appreciated, but you are. If nothing else, God knows all about you, and God knows the heart that He gave you. So keep on doing what you're doing. I'm just one person, but I'm a person that appreciate what you're doing, and I hope that you receive much, much more appreciation from those around you, those that you're caregiving for, and appreciate yourself. Salute yourself on today. Don't be afraid to tell yourself thank you. Don't be afraid to tell yourself you're doing good. You're doing a good job. Don't be afraid to do that. So again, thank you to the caregivers on this last day of National Family Caregivers Day.
Thank you, Kim. I'm going to leave this up here. If you do have more caregiving questions, you can DM Kim on Instagram at she just Kim,
Yeah,
or
she's.
um,
It might have changed again. It might be she's just Kim, but when you type in that, they should be able to get
it'll
me.
come up. Okay.
Yes.
Or they can put in Kim Hampton and it will come up that way too, right? On Instagram, I think.
Okay.
Or you can go to Facebook and find her. She is availing herself, for questions, then maybe that leads to other conversations and consultations and whatnot, because it's certainly a tool. I have access to her, obviously not so much where I'm just going to pull from her, but just the conversation we had, just regarding different concerns, and it's like, oh wow, I never thought about it like that. So we all, even with everything, oh, I'm well equipped. I don't need, no, you need tools, you need a team, you need uh, that information and resources that's going to enable you to be the most effective caregiver that will also allow you to maintain a quality of life while you're providing that to a recipient. So thank you so much, Kim. Oh, we did it.
Thank you for saying yes.
I will see
Thank you.
you
Thank you.
later.
Thank you.
Love you, girl.
I love you too.
All righty. Bye bye.